This is Top 30. President Donald Trump made a deal with Democrats to protect young people covered under the controversial DACA program. Or did he? Because, frankly, it's all quite confusing. The other day we heard the president was ending the controversial program. Now there's talk of a deal to keep it. This is what appears to be happening. The president told reporters on Air Force One Thursday, quote, "We're working on a plan subject to getting massive border controls." It was the latest in a series of mixed messages from the president on the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals initiative that protects about 800,000 young people from being deported. After being harshly criticized in the media for the announcement it was being ended, the president met with Democratic leaders Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi Wednesday over dinner. The senator and congresswoman announced that night they'd struck a deal with the president that would include protecting young immigrants from deportation, but they stressed the deal does not include a multi-billion-dollar wall at the US-Mexico border, which, as you'll remember, is a signature Trump campaign promise. The president was then met with more harsh criticism, this time from his own supporters. Conservative commentator Ann Coulter, yes, her, tweeted that she'd prefer President Pence. Republican Congressman Steve King said Trump's base would be, quote, disillusioned beyond repair. This might be why the president tweeted that, quote, no deal was made last night on DACA and promised that the border wall will come later. As I said earlier, it's all quite confusing.
What if you went to the bank to get change for a 10 and they only gave you $8.05 back? Not fair, right? But that's exactly how it is for women when it comes to the pay gap with their male counterparts. The Census Bureau says women made 80.5 cents on the dollar in 2016, which, believe it or not, is the first annual increase in the pay gap since 2007. It's up 1.1% from 2015. It's good that the pay gap is closing, but it's still bad. A pay gap is bad. And not all women are making that 80.5. The Economic Policy Institute says Black and Hispanic women make significantly less, at roughly 67 and 60 cents respectively. So far, Asian women are approaching the glass ceiling faster than anyone, making 88.2% of the hourly rate that men did in 2016. All of these stats are based on a full-time, round-the-year job. So until things are even, don't feel bad when your man pays for dinner.
Synthetic identity theft is on the rise. It involves creating new identities based on stolen information from real people. Scammers buy stolen social security numbers or guess until they find one not being used. They then combine a real address with a fake name and apply for a credit card or loan. Usually they get rejected, but when banks run the fake person's credit, it creates a profile with credit bureaus. In the digital age, that is enough to effectively make a person, in quotes, real. Future applicants from that fake name then have a better chance of being approved. The recent hack of Equifax is a potential goldmine for scam artists. As many as 143 million people had their information exposed, and some of that data could be the foundation for more fake identities. It is estimated that synthetic identity theft cost banks at least $6 billion in 2016 alone. Experts say that number could make banks more cautious about new applicants, making it harder for real people, not in quotes real people, to get their first loan. Motel 6 is facing a backlash for allegedly, and this is pretty amazing, tipping off immigration agents to potential illegal immigrants staying in rooms there. A report by the Phoenix New Times found at least 20 people were arrested at 2 Motel 6 locations in that city between February and August. The report from the Phoenix New Times says employees at the Motel 6 chain said it was standard practice to send a report to immigration officials of the name of every person staying in the hotel every morning. Isn't that astonishing? Everyone. A spokesperson for ICE told the Phoenix New Times that they couldn't confirm how the agency is getting the information, but did say they conduct targeted enforcement operations every day throughout Phoenix. Joining me now on the phone is Joseph Flaherty, who broke the story for the Phoenix New Times. So people would check in to Motel 6, they get the key, they go to the room, and then a few hours later, their details are handed over.
People would check into the hotel. In one case, a guy checked in. 6 hours later, he gets a knock on the door, and it's the immigration officers. Or in another case, there's a guy and his nephew staying at the hotel. They're there for a couple days, and on the last day, the day they're supposed to check out, they have immigration officers arrive.
In one of the reports I read, it claimed that the names of all of the guests in the hotel were handed over. Is that legal?
Based on a recent Supreme Court ruling. If a hotel or motel chooses to do that voluntarily, that's up to the owner.
Motel 6 has released a statement saying, quote, "This was implemented at the local level without knowledge of senior management. When we became aware of it last week, it was discontinued." Motel 6 features the hashtag #ThrillsNotFrills on its Twitter handle, and it would appear that for some customers, those thrills extend to being taken to an immigration detention center.
This is what's trending. This clip of Sister Margaret Ann, a nun from Miami who took matters into her own hands with a chainsaw during the Hurricane Irma aftermath. Kind of makes you look twice, but one thing's for sure, this sister gets it.
Investigators trying to find a jogger who shoved a woman in front of a moving bus have a new lead. This is video from London. It's pretty remarkable. Watch the man in the grey shirt. As he passes a woman walking the other way, he pushes her, she falls into the street, and an oncoming bus swerves and narrowly misses her. This happened back in May, and police have been looking for the runner ever since. They've now released this new picture of the runner, taken from the bus's very own security camera, and they're asking the public to take a closer look and help identify the man. As for the woman who fell down, she luckily suffered only minor injuries. Top 30 will be right back. Let's go to Nicole Petalides at the New York Stock Exchange for our Fox Business Minute.
In business news, AT&T is gearing up for a battle of the wireless carriers. The company says it'll be offering a buy one, get one free promotion, starts Friday, applies to the iPhone 8 and the 8 Plus. They have not said whether the deal will be extended to the Apple's most expensive phone ever, the iPhone 10. The deal is only for DirecTV customers, though. Brace yourself for this. Flying coach could be a death trap, literally. Daily Beast investigation finds that airlines have packed seats so tightly, its current tests don't even account for that, making it difficult for the passengers to escape alive. It also found that no coach class seat meets the Department of Transportation's own standards for space. And the semi-truck industry might be going electric. That's if Elon Musk has anything to say about it. The CEO of Tesla says they'll be rolling out the big rig on October 26th. Musk tweeted, "It's worth seeing this beast in person. It's unreal."
Star Wars fans, get excited. It's been confirmed that J.J. Abrams will return to Star Wars, directing and co-writing 2019's Star Wars Episode 9. Abrams previously revived the Star Wars franchise in 2015 with The Force Awakens. Rian Johnson then directed The Last Jedi, which comes out in December, but he declined to come back, so Colin Trevorrow was signed to direct Episode 9. But then Trevorrow cited creative differences with Lucasfilm, and it opened up the door for Abrams to come back and close out the trilogy. It's a lot, we know, but all you need to know is that J.J. Abrams is back, and that's a good thing. Did you watch week 1 of the NFL and feel there was something missing? How about 2 things, close games and scoring? Now there's evidence to prove it. Only 3 games were decided by 7 points or less. According to 538.com, that's the lowest number for an opening week since 1973. In fact, it's only happened 10 times ever since 2000. Not only were the games not close, there wasn't much scoring. Teams combined for 40.4 points per game. That's the 6th lowest average since 2012. 4 teams didn't even score a touchdown. So will the trend continue? Week 2 is right around the corner, so we won't have to wait long to find out.
By now, we all know it appears Equifax dropped the ball after a security breach that left 44%, that is 44% of Americans, vulnerable to identity theft. Currently, one of the easiest ways to protect yourself against potential damage is through the Do Not Pay bot, where you can make a claim in small claims court for damages without having to hire a lawyer. According to The Verge, maximum damages range between $2,500 in states like Rhode Island and Kentucky and $25,000 in Tennessee. The bot was designed to deal with parking tickets, but thanks to an update by its creator, Joshua Browder, it can now be used to deal with the potentially harmful after effects of the security breach. Browder said that with enough success, he hopes to bankrupt Equifax. And here is a statement we can all get behind. He hopes his bot, quote, replaces lawyers.
We all have excuses as to why we can't make it to the gym today, but I'm allergic could be a legit reason. An allergy to exercise is a real thing. According to an article in Popular Science, exercise-induced anaphylaxis affects around 50 in every 100,000 people. The reaction comes from combining certain types of food and exercise. And we're talking almost all exercise: running, dancing, biking, whatever makes you work up a sweat. But before you bail on your training sesh, experts say if you're really allergic to exercise, you'd know it. Symptoms include watery eyes, trouble breathing, extreme swelling, among other things. We still don't have a scientific reason as to why the reaction happens, though there are working theories that need more time to be flushed out. If you believe you have an exercise allergy, experts recommend the same treatment any allergy is managed: avoid the trigger. So you know who you are. If your health is at risk, consider this your free pass to skip the gym forever. More Top 30 after this. In today's hometown stories from Fox 13 Tampa Bay, Jennifer and Jimmy Stewart of Bartow, Florida knew Hurricane Irma would cause damage, but they never could have predicted it would uproot a giant oak tree in their front yard. The tree came crashing down on the roof, nearly killing their 9-year-old nephew, Zach, who was sleeping inside. The ceiling caved in, trapping Zach underneath the drywall. When everyone realized what happened, Zach's father rushed into the room, lifted up the debris, and pulled Zach to safety. The Stewarts attribute their strong faith to saving Zach's life. In our second story, a handyman from Henrico, Virginia stepped up big time to help a blind woman in his community. A local news station aired a story about Linda Tinetti's fear of getting hit by a car when she walks to her mailbox. Wesley Benton, owner of Benton Home Improvement, envisioned the perfect solution: a double-sided mailbox. Linda's story was very personal to him. His great-grandmother was killed after being hit by a car while she was getting to her mailbox. Linda told WTVR, "It really put some faith back in the world." For our final story, 10-year-old Braden Baker from Fort Worth, Texas, has been hearing impaired since he was an infant. After his dog chewed his hearing aid, Braden was shocked to learn it would be $3,000 to replace it. Braden decided to start a GoFundMe page to raise money for less fortunate kids who can't afford their own hearing aids. So far, Braden's raised over $22,000 to benefit the Otacon Hearing Foundation.
The incomes of middle-class Americans rose last year to the highest level ever recorded by the Census Bureau as poverty declined and the damage of the Great Recession started to be properly repaired. Median household income rose to just over $59,000 in 2016, a 3.2% increase from the previous year. The nation's poverty rate fell to 12.7%, returning nearly to what it was before the 2007 financial crisis. The new data also showed the number of Americans lacking health insurance to be at its lowest ever last year, and that America was actually in a place of significant growing financial strength when President Trump took office, despite all of his campaign rhetoric. But income inequality remains high. The top fifth of earners took home more than half of all income, a record, and there was a huge racial disparity. The median white household earned over $65,000, but how is this for a comparison? The median income for African Americans is just over $39,000. For Asian Americans, over $81,000. Economists and policy experts wonder whether the gains for middle-class Americans will continue, but let us end on a positive. Bob Greenstein, the founder and president of the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, called the report, quote, unambiguously good news on income, on poverty, and on health insurance. The goal should be to continue this progress. Debris in outer space is threatening satellites that we use for cell phones and television, amongst other things. The small white objects in this NASA video show some of the 500,000 pieces of debris orbiting the Earth. And here is an astonishing detail. The Wall Street Journal is reporting 20,000 more satellites could be launched into space within the next few years. That's more than 10 times the number of satellites in space right now. But more satellites means more risk of a collision with debris, and that means you won't be able to watch excellent TV shows like this one. Plus, it could easily knock out navigation and weather forecasting. Space debris can take out our cell phones and televisions. In other words, every single thing we hold dear.
Serena Williams is letting the public into her personal life. She posted the first picture of her new baby and also revealed she had some complications during the birth. Meet Alexis Olympia Ohanian Jr. The newborn is named after Serena's fiance, Reddit founder Alexis Ohanian. Along with the picture, Serena also revealed she had to stay in the hospital for 6 days after giving birth because of complications. She didn't give any more details beyond that. The baby was born on September 1st and weighed 6 pounds and 14 ounces. By the way, I think it's important to remember Serena actually won the Australian Open this year while pregnant. And being a new mom isn't going to slow her down. She told Vogue that she hopes to return to tennis in January.
37-year-old actress Rebel Wilson was awarded $3.66 million in damages in a claim against Bauer Media. An Australian judge made the ruling over her claim that a series of articles targeting her name and age cost her jobs and therefore money. The AP reported in June the Supreme Court jury in Australia's Victoria state ruled the articles defamed the pitch-perfect actress. Wilson was not immediately available for comment, but tweeted, "Thank you again for the love and support. I am humbled." Bauer Media, publisher of the Australian magazines Woman's Day, Australian Women's Weekly, NW and OK, said it was contemplating the judgment. People magazine reported Wilson said she plans to donate the judgment to charity. For her, the lawsuit was never about money. It could also prove to be a very important test case for reporting in celebrity magazines. This is Top 30 and we'll be right back.
Artificial intelligence is giving birth now. Well, sort of. Mark Sager has created a virtual AI baby and named her Baby X. His company, Soul Machines Limited, claims it looks, acts, and sounds so much like a real baby that interacting with her produces a genuine emotional response. Experts call Sager's techniques radically innovative. He explains, quote, "Researchers have built lots of computational models of cognition and pieces of this, but no one has stuck them together. We are trying to make a central nervous system for human computing." Soul Machine says that every human interaction the baby has teaches her how to be more human-like. You know who else learns that way? Real kids.
Skateboarding might have originated in Southern California, but the future of it may be in China. According to the Wall Street Journal, China is prime real estate for skateboarding because so much of its outdoor areas are made with marble. Marble is cheaply produced there and it's perfect for skateboard wheels. Additionally, 36-year-old Eric Lai from Shenzhen says China is a paradise for skateboarders because most security guards haven't seen a skateboard before. This gives skateboarders carte blanche to grind and ride ramps, perform ollies and kickflips without being interrupted. As for the reaction of locals, Lai says they marvel at his tricks, asking if he puts magnets in his shoes to stay on the board. It might seem like a ridiculously long way to go to ride on some marble, and that's because it is. But China is apparently the greatest place to skateboard in the world for now.
One known fact about New Yorkers, they love their pizza. And when a New Yorker shells out $75 for entry to a pizza festival, it better deliver. In this case, it didn't, and festival partygoers are flaming mad. According to New York's local NBC station, the New York City Pizza Festival was promoted as a day-long celebration of the dough, cheese, tasty sauces, and delicious toppings. But when people showed up, they took to Facebook, complaining in waves. Some saying the slices were cold and awful, smaller than a sample size. Organizers tried to lessen the blow on their event page by apologizing and saying that there was a delay in delivery. They promised a makeup tasting, but it seems that made disgruntled partygoers even more disgruntled. The Pizza Festival's Scam Victims Facebook group was born, and it got the attention of Attorney General Eric Schneiderman's office, launching a full-fledged investigation. So to everybody who feels they got ripped off, we hope you get your pizza and can put this traumatic event behind you. Self-driving cars are happening. The Department of Transportation released new regulations and guidelines for the futuristic vehicles. The recommendations aren't mandatory, but considered best practice. This includes a 12-point safety system check that manufacturers aren't even required to do. It's just voluntary and encouraged. And guess how many safety assessments the DOT has received? 0. But Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao remains optimistic, saying we can look forward to a future with fewer traffic fatalities and increased mobility for all Americans. According to the DOT, 94% of all serious car crashes are attributed to human error.
That is it for today's Top 30. Here are some stories coming up that you need to know about. As if they couldn't get any less popular, airlines have found yet another way to charge you for your luggage. We'll explain the fine print. If you're dining out in Detroit, your next meal could be prepared by convicts. We'll tell you how prison inmates are getting a second chance. And one California man got the Father's Day present of a lifetime. It is an adoption story with a particularly happy ending. These stories and more coming up on the next Top 30.